Hello there, world. Welcome to Couch Talk with CV. This being my couch and me being CV. Welcome to my channel. My series Couch Talk with CV is part of my channel here called Primate Evolved. I also have a site called primateevolved.com, and the written version of my Couch Talk with CV blog series is on there as well. So in my last video, the topic was the hate-filled war of ideas, and where are we going with that, and are we, too entitled to care or too polarized to deal with that? This video's topic is it sort of builds on the last video. This one is called Why Facts Matter, why it's important to listen to qualified experts, and why it's okay to say, I don't know. So this will again build somewhat on the last video, except with this topic today we're going to dive deeper into, as the title suggests, let's explore why facts do really matter, and why we do need to separate that from fiction. And in this world right now of alternative facts versus scientifically researched and observed facts, and a lot of the tension that's occurring from that, science versus anti-science and so forth. I'm hoping this video today will help us explore this topic in more detail, and also hopefully come up with some answers together and some good resolutions. Again, as always, I invite people to submit comments, and of course have your own conversations here too in the comment section. Just that, again, I ask that you make those conversations as civil as possible, especially with some of the topics that I do post here too. I know the debates about them can get a bit heated. That's it. Let's go ahead and get started. Again, title being Why Facts Matter, why it's important to listen to qualified experts, and why it's okay to say, I don't know. Let's go ahead and get started. So the internet is a beast of an entity. On one hand, it is the most impressive, most advanced, most all-encompassing gateway to human knowledge in history. On the other hand, it sometimes seems like the bane of human existence and progress. Just in the US alone, debates on social media are getting more and more heated, uglier and uglier. It's now every single day that we see people from every region of the country hurling vicious insults at each other, referring to one another as libtard or far right or piece of crap, sorry excuse of a human being, bat shit crazy. We now tell each other to F off almost as often as we greet each other. We are getting even more shamefully vitriolic. I hope you die, and no shortage of totally denigrating one another's physical features, shaming and so forth. And it's not just Twitter, which has apparently become the top platform for cutting each other down as hatefully as possible. It's now Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, dating apps. If it's socially oriented, the trolls come out in full force. Why all the constant fighting and hate? Because we have been thoroughly saturated in an almost mind-numbing way with so much information, yet our society is severely lacking in how to discuss information. Here again in the US, we don't put a lot of emphasis on critical thinking. We learn bits and pieces of it throughout primary and secondary education, but it isn't really until we take humanities or upper-level courses, college courses, and various sciences, if we do delve into sciences, especially like college, university level, that we're, in a sense, reconditioned to learn how to think and not just what to think. Or as adults, we raid the self-help section at bookstores or trust information from friends who seem to be smart. Granted, we do not all develop the same intellectually, and some have a more natural ability to think critically and use sound logic and reason to investigate and understand the world around us. However, in our first world country, founded on democracy, the ever-evolving need to establish equal opportunity and progress to help lead the world out of mass tragedy, starvation, war, racism, xenophobia, infectious disease, to make a society, really to move away from these things and to make a better society for future generations. While we have made some significant progress in the last few centuries as an independent nation, we're also a major example of what a frustrating stalemate looks like on just about all social topics. Contrary to the many people pushing that we have become more polarized, that is actually not quite true. For example, voting for Republican versus Democrat has been a fairly even 50% split for at least the past 40 plus years now. So we've been divided for quite some time. It's just that we now have a technological platform to cram our views down everyone's throat again and again and again. And this division is not just one of many. Catholic versus Protestant, Christians versus Muslims, Muslims versus Jews, gun laws versus the Second Amendment, state legalization of marijuana versus federal laws, pro-choice versus pro-life, Biden supporters versus Trump supporters, and now, unbelievably, flat Earth versus round Earth. COVID is a real serious threat versus COVID-19 is just the government taking the next steps to become a 1984/Fahrenheit 451, dystopian world where a bunch of sinister authoritarians are sitting up in a conference room in a dark tower, twisting their mustaches and debating which evil plan they should launch next to enslave all of humanity. Which then helps perpetuate the ever-growing number of conspiracy theories. We as humans, human beings, seem particularly interested in what our feelings tell us over what the facts tell us. Or how about the ever-growing movement of alternative facts, or believing in some transcendental mystical power that is guiding all of us? Some call it God, some call it the universe, some call it energy, and some combine all of these ideas into their own truth. Moreover, it is so blatantly self-serving. Now people frequently talk in platitudes, or they post memes or thoughts that the universe is guiding your journey as a human, that it will reward you, yet will also punish you when necessary. And look at the language we use because of that. I am so blessed in my life. The universe must have been looking out for me when I almost got hit by a truck. God has a plan for me. These kinds of statements about our self-worth teeter on being flat out narcissistic. Think about it. Why are you so deserving, or more deserving, of privileges often denied to other people? Are you so biologically, intellectually, emotionally, intuitively superior to the rest of the world that outside or supernatural forces stop and say, wow, you deserve that $10 million home because that you bought in San Diego because you're true to the law of attraction? Meanwhile, what about people in various parts of the world who, for example, women in various parts of the world being forced into being sex slaves, or when entire villages are bombed or succumb to mass genocide? Why is then, say, your position or person's position, say, law of attraction, why is that person then more privileged compared to all the, say, atrocities that happen around the rest of the world? Like, why the preferential treatment? Also, why do 40% of Americans believe the Earth is literally 6,000 years old? Why do many Americans think a theocracy will fix our schools and make a better society? Why are so many people sharing videos plagued with misinformation, or are a twisted mix of logical points and, a friend of a friend told me to share this? Why do we have so many armchair experts who think they know more than well-qualified experts? Why do so many people argue against scientific facts? Why do so many people use a perverted form of skepticism, which then leads to one conspiracy theory after the next? Well, not only do we have a deeply troubling lack of teaching critical thinking in our country, but we're also sorely lacking in developing sound reasoning skills, as well as not understanding how to debate without committing a whole host of logical fallacies. We also have to contend with one of our greatest opponents, our egos. We like to be right. We like to win arguments, even when we sometimes claim it's not about winning the argument. We tend to care more about our thinking, how our thinking will benefit ourselves, versus sincerely listening to each other's perspectives, and then correctly weighing in on what is logical versus illogical. We are a society of mic drop trolling moments on social media. We are ingrained in the game of one-upping each other, and we often avoid having to research both sides of an argument to form a more holistic opinion. The scientific method was created for a crucial reason, one that has allowed us to advance exponentially within the past 500 years. To take any form of a claim about the natural world around us and then in other words, to take any form of claim about the natural world around us and then thoroughly test it to see if it's a fact. That even after confirming the hypothesis multiple times, it still must go through peer review. In other words, other scientists, experts in the field, conduct their own set of testing and then compare and contrast the results. Further, the scientific method can be applied pretty much to all discourses. Someone makes a claim, you test the claim, you report the results. This is clearly just the rudimentary version of scientific analysis, but it is essential to separating fact from fiction. Therefore, when a well-educated, well-reputable expert on a subject gives advice about it, that usually means that what they are advising is based on exhaustive research, multiple peer-reviewed studies, and ensuring that the data is as accurate as possible. Yes, what the experts tell you may be unsettling, and even sometimes cause an earthquake-like existential crisis in your brain. However, it doesn't mean the facts are any less true. So an impartial scholar of the Bible tells you that none of the patriarchs, for example, Abraham, Noah, Moses, etc., most likely never existed, that there's no history or archaeological evidence that massive numbers of Jews were kept as slaves in Egypt, and that there was no real exodus, it's most likely not because that scholar wants to stick it to you and destroy your beliefs. Or if an evolutionary biologist explains in great detail our clear factual links to other primates. It's not so you will think that we as humans are now an insignificant species. And if an expert on infectious disease shows clear data and reasons why we need to take the appropriate controls to contain a virus, it's not so that they hope the entire economy can be destroyed and the government can take away all our freedoms. And here is something just as important as facts: the ability and humility to say, I don't know. If you ask me whether I think God exists, I will say, I don't know. I need to see the empirical evidence for a supernatural being. As a sidebar, I like to say that I don't necessarily have faith, but I do have hope. I keep open to the idea, but I do like evidence. If you ask me to explain quantum physics, I will say, I don't know. I first need to research it thoroughly. If you ask me whether I believe the law of attraction or the mystical power of the universe, or in the mystical power of the universe, I will say, I don't know. I need to see the empirical evidence. It's as the wise saying goes, those who think they know do not know, and those who know they do not know, know. In other words, always be a seeker of truth. Always do your research. Always care about real facts. And always be willing to say, I don't know. Thanks for watching.